What's going on, guys? It's Rest, and in today's video I actually want to go over a brand new flak build that I'm calling Pure Rack Flak. This build is going to allow you to only use your rack attack as your main ability to kill enemies, and you will never have to shoot a single gun. This build is very good for Mayhem 10 and will get you through pretty much everything in the game, and it is one of the most fun builds I have ever played. So if that interests you, as always, my builds are located in my Discord channel if you would like to download them. Link to the Discord will be in the description. If you download the build and enjoy the video, find it helpful in any way, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It's free, and it's what allows me to keep making videos like this for you guys. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoy this crazy build. Alright, so starting off, your main weapon you're going to be running is a Unforgiven. Preferably you want to have one with 432% increased critical hit damage, and this is going to be for multiple reasons. If you don't know, the Unforgiven essentially is going to let any crit damage that is applied to an enemy while you're holding this gun is actually going to get this buff. So that is things like your racks or even your grenade that you're going to be running. You're actually going to get a crit bonus from this, which is going to increase your damage dramatically from your action skill. Now, as you see, this also has, while under 50% health, you're going to do 150% bonus radiation damage, which is also going to stack on top of your action skill, which is going to be your racks. And you can absolutely destroy between the crit damage and the radiation annoying. Now, to make this gun work, as I mentioned, the grenade, we're going to be running a Hunter Seeker. With on action skill start, you generate one grenade. This is going to essentially just throw these grenades out that are going to split into 3 grenades, and they actually shoot bullets out that can cause crits. Causing crits is going to help with some of our skills out later, and the crit damage is also going to help out with damage because having the huge crit bonus, these things actually can do a good bit of damage. Now for the artifact, we're going to be running a Atom Bomb Deathless. So this is going to give you 30% more action skill cooldown rate, 48% area of effect damage, and 24% radiation damage. All of these are really good for this build. Axial cooldown rate, so you can get your axe skill back, which is really nice. Area effect damage, because your racks actually do area of effect damage, so that's more damage for your racks. And 24% radiation damage is good with the Anoint. Now the Atom Bomb is also really good because since you're going to be applying radiation a lot with this Anoint, it's going to spread around, and the explosions you get are going to absolutely kill enemies even more than before, and it makes the racks even more stronger than they already are. Now to help buff the racks even more, we're going to be running the Rack Pack class mod right here. So this is whenever a flak racks hits an enemy, they're going to split into 2 more racks to seek out other enemies. This is giving you more splash damage, action skill damage, and action skill cooldown rate. Action skill damage is good for the action skill. Splash damage is also good for the action skill because, like I said, they do splash damage or area of effect damage. Then action skill cooldown rate is really good to get your racks back, and pairing it with the artifact, you should pretty much always have a rack at all times with some of your skills. Now for the shields, I have a version 0.m. This is actually really good if you have on action skill start. Any effect triggers on shield break. This lets you put down a red circle on the ground, and it's actually going to buff all your damage by 50%, including action skill damage. So to buff your action skill even more, you can start just spamming racks, and you're going to have this damage buff to do even more damage. Now, a thing I will say is flak is not that good at survivability. So survivability with this build is going to come solely on the stopgap in one of your other skills. So the stopgap with axial start is going to essentially give you immunity for 5 seconds, and if you keep timing it correctly, you always have immunity. But if you want to go the more damage route, you can run the other shield. But I will say, if you run this other shield, you are going to go down a lot. You're going to really have to rely on one of your other skills. Now, to be fair, when you go down, you can use stuff like the Brainstormer or even the Unforgiven to get back up, and you don't really have to worry about ever completely dying and fight for your life. Or you could just run the stopgap, whichever one you want to do. But the reason I have the Brainstormer is because this is going to allow you to chain crits, which is going to help out with one of your skills later, and this is also going to help out with getting your racks back, just like your grenade. Now before I get into the skills, bossing for flak is very simple, and you can boss with the racks if you want to, especially with this shield right here. But if you just want to go a simple route, you can run any Monarch, have a front loader so you can reserve your health. So since this has a 150% bonus radiation damage, under 50% health, run the front loader. You're going to get that anointment proc, run something like the Stack Bot and a Pearl of Mindful Knowledge, and you can kill pretty much every boss in the game. So if you go up against a boss kind of Grave War where the racks don't do an insane amount, you can just swap to like Incendiary, put this stuff on, and you'll be able to kill Grave War with ease. Pretty much everything in the game, including bosses, racks do extremely well against them, but it's just in some scenarios like that where Grave War is kind of far away and you kind of need to swap out. But I have 3 of the main elements right here, so whatever you go up against, you can swap it out and take down that boss. Now going to the skills, I'm going to start in the Hunter skill tree. The main skill I've been talking about this entire time was head count. So what head count does, whenever flag scores a critical hit, there's a chance that they get action skill cooldown rate. So you're going to get -2 seconds, and you have a 60% chance when you hit a crit. You're going to be spamming these grenades everywhere, which is causing crits. So the way it's going to work, you're essentially going to use your rack, throw a grenade, use your rack, throw a grenade, use your rack, throw a grenade, constant. So you're going to have infinite grenades. Your crit's going to keep getting your racks back, and it's just a non-stop rotation. Now, if it ever does quit, you can run the Brainstormer, since it's going to chain everywhere and cause crits with Megavore, which is going to make all your guns have a 20% chance to crit no matter where you hit them on the body. This is actually also going to proc head count, and you can get your racks back even faster. But the grenade combo should be more than enough in most scenarios in the game. Now, I have 3 points in Leave No Trace, because this is going to give you a 36% chance to put ammo back in your magazine, you score a critical hit. This is good for boss scene. For 3 points to get down to the bottom, this is definitely what you should be taking. Helps the monarchs out a lot. But I have 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker, so whenever you get a kill, you're going to get more damage, pet damage, robot bonuses, human bonuses. You just get a lot more damage. And for 5 points, it is really nice. As you see on that human bonus, you get 15% more axe skill damage, which is really, really nice. Now, I have 4 points of Hunter's Eye because I need to get down to the bottom. But this is nice for a little bit of survivability for Flak. As you see, you get a little bit of damage reduction against Beast, which is nice. And if you ever just shoot your weapons, this is also going to help out too. But 3 points in Big Game, so we get 100% more Hunter skill duration and 30% Hunter skill effects. So that's going to buff things like Interplanetary Stalker. And our other skill right here, which is the More Dangerous Game. So whenever we kill a bigger enemy, which is pretty much all the time on Mayhem 10, you're going to get more gun damage, more critical hit damage, which is nice for your Flaks, more pet damage, and more handling. All these are really good. Your pet actually can do a good bit of damage with this build, but obviously you're mainly focusing on Flak. So that is why I'm using this. But now, 1 point in Galactic Shadows, we get more critical hit damage, which is nice for the racks. But then 5 points in Grim Harvest, so we get 21% more gun damage, 70% more action skill damage, and 49% more pet damage. Really, really good. The action skill damage is going to let your racks do even more than they already were. And speaking of racks, the main racks we're going to be running is obviously Rack Attack. We can have Rack Open, a cold one, or you can run Rack Accelerate, depending on whatever you're going against. And you need Flock and Load is pretty much the main one. So this is going to let your racks send forward additional racks, which when they obviously hit with the class mod, they're going to split into more. You're going to spread radiation everywhere. You're going to kill everything. Explosions are going to be happening. And it is honestly ridiculous. But now for the pet, I'm going to run the Spider-Man Scorcher. This is running almost every single build. You're going to get 30% more elemental damage with skills like Barbaric Yelp, which is going to give you 200% more pet bonuses, which is obviously in return going to make that elemental damage go up by 30%. But now, starting in Master, I have 3 points of Persistence Hunter to get more gun damage and axe skill duration. I'm really just using this to get down to the bottom. Same as go for the eyes right here, 2 points and that, because this is going to give you your pedicle critical hit damage whenever they first hit enemy, which actually can help out a little bit when your pet first initially hits an enemy. But I have 1 point He Bites. This is going to give your pet a thorn-like effect, or basically like an AoE style effect, which is going to help stack things like Frenzy. Whenever Flak or his pet deals damage, it's going to get a stack this, which is going to increase their damage by 4%, and it can stack up to 10 times, which is 40% more damage. This is also really good to let your pet do more damage, or if you ever need to shoot a weapon, this is going to help out with that too. 1 point in Psycho Head on the Stick to get more pet damage and pet movement speed. I'm using this to get down to the bottom because you really want to get Barbaric Yelp right here. But this is going to let your pet move a little faster to help proc Frenzy and stuff, which is nice. But now for the survivability of this build, and on top of the stopgap, we're running the Havmon. So when Flak takes damage, a portion of all the damage they take is shared with their pet. So now when you're taking damage, you're actually going to be sharing it with your pet. It's just 15%, but this is going to be good paired with something like Mutated Defenses, because if your pet actually goes down, or when they get low health, it's going to gain an insane amount of damage reduction, and they're going to start regenerating health. This is on a 15-second cooldown, but you get 40% of your pet's max health generated and 30% damage reduction for 6 seconds. It's actually kind of crazy. But then finally, I have 3 points in Pack Tactics. Our Flak and pet get more damage and more health. This is going to help make your pet a little bit more tankier, and Flak's going to have a little bit more damage. Now finally, in the last skill tree, I have 5 points of Furious Attack, which is going to give you even more pet damage, more handling, and more gun damage the more you shoot enemies, which is nice. This is really good for bossing, and just more damage in general is always nice. 5 points in Eager to Impress, so when we kill an enemy, we're going to get more cooldown rate, and if your pet kills an enemy, you're going to get even more cooldown rate. But this is really good for the racks, obviously, because you want to keep spamming as much as possible, and it's going to allow you to kill everything on the battlefield. 1 point Lick the Wounds. This is the last main skill I was talking about for this build. Since you can go down a lot with this build, this is going to let your pet revive you, which is really nice. So if you do eventually go down, if you're saying you're not running something like the stopgap, the pet can easily come revive you, which is really, really good. And if you have things like some guardian rank perks, you're going to immediately just have max shields back. You're pretty much technically going to be unkillable with this build if you don't count fight for your life as being killable. But between the stopgap, lick the wounds, and some of your skills in the master, you should absolutely be fine with survivability. So that's going to do it for the pure rack flak build. As you see, there isn't many skills to help out with a rack, so it's really relying on the Unforgiven and things like the Deathless with the 150% radiation annoying. That is what is allowing your racks to do an insane amount of damage. Obviously, you have some skills that are going to increase your damage, but the main focus is getting that pet damage up so it can also help you out and trying to make your survivability as much as possible. So like I said with this build, if you play it correctly, you should never have to shoot your weapon at all. It's going to be all racks, and even your pet is going to be doing a lot to help you out as well. If you ever want to boss easily, I'm going to include that other gear as well with this build, and you can swap it out for whatever boss you're getting yourself into. But that's going to do all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I gotta find a way out of this fucking position. I stay with a gang and don't stress by no bitches. I took all my pain and I put it in records. They turn up the speaker, I turn it to riches. When I'm alone, the past come at a homie, so I feel like turning that boy to